Hello there, welcome to the HM Show. This is your host Harish. Have you ever wondered why India does not have tech product companies, even though it has one of the highest number of software engineers? If it has ever crossed your mind, you are at the right place. We shall today unveil the reasons for the same. The Indian IT industry has a leading position globally and has been progressively contributing to the growth of exports. It is also a major source of employment opportunities where 5.8 million people are gainfully employed. So if you look at the numbers, in 2014-15, the IT industry had generated revenues to the tune of $118 billion and export revenue was $100 billion. 10 years later, in 24-25, this number grew to 283 billion USD for total revenue and export revenue of $224 billion. That's massive by all accounts, and it contributes to almost 7% of the Indian GDP. The industry was born in Mumbai with the establishment of TCS in 1967 and the creation of Santa Cruz Electronic Export Processing Zone, SEEPS, in Mumbai in 1973. Till 1980s, almost 80% of the country's software was exported from SEEPS. These are the good things, but there is a darker truth behind it. The focus of IT industry has been to work for others, serve others, and not on product innovation or R&D to create demand locally and internationally from digital products and applications. Now let's turn our gaze to the world's two biggest economies, that is America and China. In contrast to India, the US market hosts the world's largest technology companies: Meta, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, several large enterprise software, hyperscalers, chip design, cloud, SaaS, and ICT services. It's a market driven by cutting-edge R&D, product innovation, venture capital, dominant cloud and SaaS vendors, highest per capita tech spending. The total revenue generated to 2.5 to 3 trillion USD, contributing to 8 to 10% of US GDP. The market cap is almost $22 trillion. It attracts the best in the world who go there to chase dreams and build companies. So everything you use as an ordinary Indian in terms of tech product is of American origin. If you want to see the reels, you scroll onto Instagram, it is American. If you want to check mails, you open Gmail, it is American. Use a laptop to do some work, its operating system is either Windows or Mac OS, American. If you use an Android phone or iPhone, the software again is American. Our entire digital existence is America dependent. Let's look at the other country, which is China. The Chinese digital economy and ICT ecosystem is large and rapidly growing. It covers e-commerce, cloud, mobile, telecoms, software services, AI, and huge domestic market for platforms and hardware. The IT digital services now comprise 10% of the GDP and has been a major policy focus and investment target of the government. Now coming back to India, you wonder, where are the products of Indian companies? What does Infosys, TCS, Wipro, Mindtree, SCL, Tech Mahindra, Mphasis, etc. make which an ordinary Indian uses? There's none. I mean, you don't have any product or applications which a normal person uses in day-to-day life. Now, if you're from software industry, can you name any framework, library, or programming language which you use and was created in India? Any open source project which is entirely done from India? Of course, there are Indian individual contributors to open source and significant ones, but most of them are based out of US. Question is why we don't have product companies in spite of 5.8 million people working in it. Of course, we have some private sector Indian companies like Zoho, which have a suite of products, but they are only exceptions. Are Indians inherently less endowed in terms of intellect? Do we lack something which a white American or European has? But if you look at the Indians who managed to move to US, they do wonders. And this is evident from several entrepreneurs of Indian origin in tech sector. So what we have in front of us are several Indians who have opened or started tech companies in America. You have Vinod Khosla of Sun Microsystems fame. Then you have Arvind Srinivasan, who started Perplexity, Sanjay Mehrotra, who started SanDisk, and so many others. This means that there's something else which is missing in India and which is present in America, which is creating this difference. So, what's the problem then in India? Why do we have nothing? The next clip gives answers to the problem we have in India.
We have the best risk capital system in the world by far. So, people get confused about why does the United States have so much venture success, so much entrepreneurial success? Why are the big tech companies here and not somewhere else? What's really going on with all this dynamism in this country compared to what we see around elsewhere in the world? And there are a bunch of reasons for that, but the biggest one, 8 of 10 points there, is that we have better risk capital. It's not the banking system. We have a good banking system, but so does Europe. Right. What's different here is that you can raise, $50 million of seed capital to do something that only has a 10% chance of working. That's crazy. But the people who are giving you that seed capital know that their expected value is still positive in many cases, or they're at least gambling that that's true. That risk capital system that we have in this country is turning out to be very hard for other countries to do.
So that was Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, giving the answer for the questions which we raised in last 10 minutes. That why we do not have startups or tech product companies in India, which America has in plenty. Answer lies in one word, which is risk capital. This is what is missing in India, and this is what makes America great. So in US, which Jeff just mentioned, that even if the idea has got 10% chance of being with success, still it can raise huge amount of money from the investors. So risk capital is defined as a capital which has been invested into a project in which there is a substantial element of risk, especially money invested in a new venture or expanding business in exchange for shares in the business. In the context of venture capital, risk capital refers to funds invested into a promising but still unproven startup. Now we will introduce something which drives the behavior of the investors in America. So what you have in your screen is called power law distribution. The idea was brought to life by a gentleman called Wilfredo Pareto, and it basically gives two ways of investments. One is like early stage returns, which is determined by power law distribution, and second is like late stage return, which has a normal distribution curve. Silicon Valley was born due to a culture of risk taking. In 1957, Arthur Rock along with Sherman Fairchild funded the traitorous 8 of Shockley Semiconductors, which incidentally was the first company to make semiconductors from silica, that is sand. These 8 formed Fairchild Semiconductors, and this act in a way started the Silicon Valley story. Sequoia Capital and Kleiner Perkins were launched in 1972, which standardized the venture capital business, and it took it to new heights by funding a series of winners, starting from Atari to Apple. Axel, NEA, Menlo Ventures are other important players in venture capital space who have spawned several technology companies in USA. Now there are hundreds of different kinds of players providing funds to companies at different stages of their growth. Do you know this person? If you haven't heard, he is Peter Thiel. Now he has a very colorful history. He co-founded PayPal and led it as a CEO to make it public. He made first outside investment in Facebook at a time when Mark Zuckerberg had no money and was about to give up. He provided early funding to LinkedIn, Yelp, and dozens of other startups. As a partner of Founders Fund, a Silicon Valley venture capital fund, he funded SpaceX and Airbnb. In 2008, the first 3 flights of SpaceX had failed, and SpaceX almost went bust. Peter Thiel decided to fund Elon Musk, even though he had a fight with Elon during his PayPal days. He invested $20 million in SpaceX, then giving a lifeline to Elon. The next flight of SpaceX was a success, and since then Musk has been on a roll. The question is, why did Peter Thiel decide to fund Elon Musk? The answer is very simple. He believes that a good idea should never go unfunded. He runs a Peter Thiel Foundation, which gives money to entrepreneurs only on ideas. The Peter Thiel Fellowship gives $200,000 to young people who want to build new things instead of sitting in a classroom. Thiel Fellows skip or stop out of college to receive $200,000 of grant and support from the Theil Foundation's network of founders, investors, and scientists. We showcased only Peter Thiel, but there are hundreds of other venture capitalists, seed funders, and risk capital providers who fund businesses which will never go funded anywhere else in the world. And this is what separates America from the rest of the world. So we will now see what rich people in India, where they invest. So we'll start with the case study of Narayan Murthy, a person who founded Infosys, one of the largest software services in India, someone who knows software industry and is a part of the tech journey. So let's have a look at his investments. The major investments of Narayan Murthy is in Theil, which is a joint venture between Catamaran and Amazon. It was one of the largest merchants in India, and in 2024 it exited from the Theil venture by making a profit of $110 million. Another investee company is Paperboard Foods, which is again a non-tech company. Then he has invested in SKS Microfinance, another non-tech entity. There is a company called Sedimec Mechatronics. It's a automotive electronic component manufacturer where Catamaran has made a secondary investment. Gokul Das Exports, which is a apparel manufacturer, and there's just one deep tech firm which his company has invested in. The details and the size, etc., are not in public space right now. What we see is like the people who have made their money from software industry and tech industry have not invested enough in that space. They have been making money, they have made good investments, but in retail, in clothing, in food, and all non-tech space. So now let's see how another software doyen, Azim Premji, has been investing. Azim is a big name in software industry. He ensured that his company moved from Vanaspati or oil industry into software, and he also received the India's second highest civilian award. He makes his investments using his organization called Premji Invest, and this is the area which he invests in, which is consumer durables, financial services, and fintech, healthcare, and industrial goods. Some of the companies which his company, investment company, has invested in are Flipkart, Idli Maker ID, Lenskart, which is a spectacle manufacturer and retailer, First Cry, which is another retailer, and Five India, another retailer. No deep tech, no software, no application investments, only retailing. So this is what he has been doing. Now we'll go to the third case study, which is Harsh Goenka. He is a billionaire. Harsh Goenka is a person known for his wit, intelligence, social media presence, and love for the country. His X profile is a go-to for unlimited free gyan to Indian citizens and his display of love for his country. He's very active on social media, and he gives advice to everybody in the country what we should do as an Indians to make India great. Now let's see where he and his family invest. So he's a chairman of RPG Group. His brother spent 7,090 crore rupees or 940 million USD in 21 to buy the cricket club. And he has been buying more clubs across the world. He even hires European company to market his team in India. If his family had invested in startups, so 30 crore rupees in 236 companies he could have invested in. And even with 3% success rate, he could have spawned 7 big technology companies in the country. But yeah, he has his preferences, and which is like a lot of real estate and cricket clubs. That is what his family fancies, and that is what they have been putting their money in. This lust for real estate apartments seems to be unending and it continues unabated. While money in US are investing in new businesses, our rich love buying more and more expensive properties, and their lust is pushing property rates out of the reach of the common man. So in India, the problem is lack of risk capital. We have talent, we have ideas, but no risk capital to back up. The banking system simply cannot do this kind of activity. We need an Indian version of Peter Thiel, but we are saddled with Narayan Murthys or Azim Premjis or pretenders like Goenka, who will day in, day out talk about the need to make India great, but his family will put their money in cricket, Bollywood, or apartments. Now let's look at what the rich in India are doing. Look at what is booming in India. In Mumbai itself, the amount of money which is going into luxury apartments, ultra luxury home sales surge in India. When people are buying apartments, duplexes of 700 crores. In this amount, so many different entities and startups can be founded, deep tech startups, which can bring a revolution. But no, we have our own priorities. And obviously with this kind of setup, it's hard for self-driven individuals to innovate in India. They end up going to America or other countries where funding is available to do the work. We have the case study of Arvind Srinivas, who is the founder of Perplexity. Just 4 years back, his company was started with a seed capital of 25 crore rupees or 3.1 million USD. In 3.5 years, he has used his intelligence and his skills to convert that $3.1 million into $18 billion. So look at the upside which your tech entity can give. So $3 million of initial investment has now become 18 billion USD in 3.5 years. In US, Jeff Bezos and so many other investors backed him and they gave him money so that he could try out taking on Google and OpenAI. And he is today one of the successful guys. If all the billionaires in India who like to buy expensive houses, cricket clubs, or invest in yet another retailer or loan provider had invested in tech startups, India would have created its own ecosystem of deep tech, pure play Indian tech product companies by now. China solved this problem of lack of risk capital by state funding. So what do you think will happen in India? Would the government of India do seed funding of tech platform startups? But anything where government is involved, are bureaucrats managing it, this program would fail massively. Would our millionaires and billionaires come together to fund our startups? Or would the government nudge the rich to fund the Indian tech startups? Whatever it is, in whatever way, if the money comes, it's most welcome. Or would we continue to see our young keep trying for work visas of yet another country before xenophobia drives them away? We don't know the answers, but we hope for the best. Drop your comments below and also please like, subscribe and share the video to support this channel. Thank you for staying with us till the end.